khibale kopatala mansimane ikhiba ya aina thabele lebele tsumungu manithari atsa marao wa makhubedu bukhubana
contractor induction event. I am your host this morning. My name is Dewi Motilal. I'm the registrar at the University of Zululand. And on behalf of the university, I welcome you and thank you for taking the time off to join us today and to mark this event with us. Perhaps just a little bit of a background. The University of Zululand was established 61 years ago. We celebrated our 60 years last year. And as a historically disadvantaged institution, we have come a long, long way. From initially having 45 students as a university in 1960 to today in excess of 16,500 students. We're not a small institution. We're not the biggest, but we have the biggest heart and ambition. And today's event marks the university progressing. And progression is part of the school that this university embarks on in its next 5 and 6 years from a strategic perspective. We developed for the first time for higher historically disadvantaged institutions and offered engineering programs. We're in the cusp of establishing an engineering faculty within the very short near future. So the ambition for the university is real, it's rife, and today culminates in years of hard work in seeing that future for a highly developed institution, an institution that has squarely put KwaZulu-Natal on the map. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege today to direct these proceedings and to introduce the various role players and stakeholders that will form an integral part of this process of the university's development. As in customary in functions, particularly functions of this magnitude, it is required and somewhat gives everybody a sense of comfort that we bless these proceedings. So may I ask if you would indulge, and I call Mr. Nhleko, our Director of Marketing, the Marketing Division, to provide us with a few words of blessing in a non-denominational nature. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for descending down to our beautiful shores in KwaZulu-Natal. Today marks the testimony and the start of a journey towards prosperity for the University of Zululand. We know, as always, that we are motivated to say the plans of the righteous leads to prosperity, but the plans of the negligent leads to poverty. We are certain that this project that is about to be launched today and this milestone in the journey that is unveiled will lead to prosperity. When I look at all your faces, they are looking so bright and they're so shining. So is the hope and the wish of the University of Zululand community. We are hoping that the staff members that are viewing in their offices, remotely, as well as our students, they are part of this journey and they will support it, because it is only through this support that this project can actually thrive. We are calling all the spirits of prosperity, spirits of abundance, and all positive energy to actually prevail in this project and prevail in this place, so that the lives of Black students and South Africans can only be ushered into the new era. Halala, University of Zululand, halala. Halala, University of Zululand, halala.
Thank you, Ms. Nhleko. Colleagues, as the starting point of this event, I'd like to acknowledge, on behalf of the Council of the University of Zululand, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mtose, the Deputy Vice-Chancellors, Professor Siepe, Professor Nomlomo, Professor Kunene, the Executive Directors of the Executive Team, the Directors of the various portfolios present before us, colleagues, stakeholders, guests that are present today. Welcome and thank you for attending to this event. Allow me to then introduce to you the speaker of the next item on our agenda, Mr. Mwango. Mr. Mwango is the Executive Director of Infrastructure Development within the university and the driving force behind this entire project. Mr. Mwango.
Good morning, all. I am given the task of giving some idea about what this event is about, what brought us here today. It is a year ago that we began the process of inviting service providers to commit interest in terms of availing their capacity, capability, and financial resources to partner with us in the development of the University of Zululand. I'm talking about the expression of interest process that was launched sometime in August last year. A year later, we're sitting in this venue confirming that the outcome of that process has been, a success. We do now have entities that were ready to commit to the program of infrastructure implementation, which we're speaking about today. So today's event is really not the sword-turning event or the beginning of that implementation phase, but merely an event that brings together all the parties, the university, our various professional teams that have worked with us since March last year. It is a great achievement for us as a university. We don't really take this very lightly. Nothing of the sort has ever been achieved in a very, very long time. So we're quite excited about the prospect of working with you in a partnership to deliver on the promise of our vision and goals that are enshrined in our spatial development framework, which is a guide document that speaks about where we've been, where we are, and where we want to be in years to come. Having launched this process, the procurement process that is, indeed it was a special occasion last year, but before that, we had already gone through internal processes within the university, basically to clear the path for this project. We managed to secure all your internal formal structure endorsements, align budgets to priorities, and we were able to table a list of priority packages that we thought would be key for us to implement given the context of limitation of resources. Those packages initially, we talked about 10. We were quite ambitious at the time that all 10 of them will be, our first batch that will see us implementing, the first phase of projects that are all, considered priority. But having gone through the process of detailed planning, design, the engagements, and clarification of scopes and budgeting. We were able to cut down that list of priority packages to 5. As you know, the country has gone through some process of, economic challenges as well. Priorities for government overall are elsewhere, given the nature of the challenges that we're facing as a country. So we needed to sit down and review our packages. So I can confirm that the 5 or more that we're tabling for implementation as part of the first phase represent still the biggest achievement that we want to mark by way of this celebration today. So the event today is essentially then the coming together of our 3 main stakeholders here, which is the university itself, the various professional bodies that we have worked with since March last year, responsible for, the greatest work and achievement in getting us packages that are ready to implement, which enable us to invite contractors with confidence and say, the University of Zululand is ready for business. So as we mark this occasion, we do so with confidence and certainty that we're not really just making a statement. We're certain that in 30 days from now or thereabout, we'll actually be back here doing a sword turning event, marking the beginning of the actual implementation phase, which we have waited for so long. So the contractors that will be spoken of by my colleague, Mr. Ngobo, will basically be a confirmation of all the work that has been done, culminating in the event that we're having here today, to indicate to all that indeed the University of Zululand is open for business. So we're coming together as partners, have a chance to introduce ourselves and be seen and be known to all, because this is a transparent process. There's no doubt that this process has gone on very well, and there's no taint of any irregularity that could render it somewhat questionable. We're confident that the outcome of this partnership will really one that we'll all be proud of in years to come. So our implementation program is a multi-year delivery program. So if we're doing the first phase now, it means in years to come, we'll really be still busy, unfolding and evolving and doing all the wonderful things that are contained in our spatial development vision, which is very articulative in terms of what things we want to do and achieve as a university, building the legacy not for ourselves, but for the future generations as well, that will come and be part of this great institution in years to come. I hope that what I've just said now really clarifies what the purpose of this event is. If I can just repeat briefly, is to announce that we have now concluded the partnership process. We're introducing ourselves to one another. We then, going to embark in a process of developing concrete plans that will take us to the first phase of implementation by the 1st of October. The project team will then be hosting several meetings with various teams to introduce various packages that will then be the basis of this partnership that I'm speaking about, which culminates in clarity in terms of what work to be implemented, scopes, budgets, and timelines. In that sense, it is still an important event for us to mark by way of this occasion that we are hosting today. With those few words, Program Director, I would like to pause here and say thank you very much for joining us and having this wonderful occasion and marking this great occasion with your presence here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mwango. Is it remarkable that how COVID has put a pause in our lives, even on simple mundane things like continuity? It has just put a pause in it, and we just got to observe these things. And these are crucial points in our lives that we have to accept. So I'm grateful that you are indulged that we observe the protocol to the letter of the law. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce the next speaker to us. This is one of the most headstrong leaders of our modern times that I have the privilege of working with and under guidance and tutelage. I'd like to introduce to you the Vice Chancellor of the University of Zululand, Professor Mtose. Without her guidance and leadership, the vision of this institution that has been in the making for many years would not have come to fruition. Professor Mtose will be joining us online, and without further ado, if we have the link available, may I introduce the Vice Chancellor of the University. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the University of Zululand Council and Management, I would like to welcome you all for your presence on the Boarding of Construction Partners event. Today is a special day indeed for the University of Zululand, and has been long awaited. We are weeks away from breaking ground to see first of the projects of multi-million rand priority building and refurbishment program off the ground. As a person of faith, I would like to turn to biblical account for inspiration as we formally commission the design, consulting, program management, and construction firms we have selected to be our partners to deliver the new build and the refurbishment programs. This inspiring account is found in the book of Nehemiah 2:18. The theme is of building and repairing. We learn therein that around the year 444 BC, Nehemiah led a group of visionaries to return from the captivity of Babylon, where his nation has been taken decades before, to go and rebuild the walls of the city and the temple of God in Jerusalem. The work was not easy, it was difficult, and there was much opposition and many enemies. However, Nehemiah and those who joined him in the work displayed courage, fortitude, and commitment in order to see the noble task through to its end. As a person that strongly believes in God, being privileged to be at the helm of the leadership of this institution in this day and age of economic challenges, faced with a worldwide pandemic and ever-shifting changes to the geopolitical order of the world and country we live in, I encourage you likewise today, whether you are in design, in construction, or management, wherever you may be in this program, to embody the same attitude and posture of Nehemiah in this program of refurbishing and building anew academic, administrative, accommodation facilities to our beloved institution that we are embarking on. I thank you wholeheartedly for being part of this program, and I ask you to approach your role as that of a nation builder and not merely a service provider. I beseech you to approach your assigned task with your eyes set not only on current users, but also on the future generation that will benefit from your labor of love. Let your role be executed with a spirit of unflinching commitment and total integrity, so that we can all emerge united as a team with finished product we will be pleased with, and that province and the nation as a whole we will be proud of. Indeed, It may seem to be an odd time to embark on this build and refurbishment program at a time when landscape of higher education is changing rapidly with digitization. However, there is no better time than the present, as the human race will always need physical infrastructure. Also, at a time like this, when there's so much despair and despondency in society, we need vision and goals to give us hope for a better tomorrow. We need vision, for without it, we easily succumb to despair and hopelessness. Without vision, the people perish. The fact of the matter is that if we do nothing and stand still, then the next generation will be left without a legacy. We do this not for ourselves in this current generation, but also for the benefit of our future generations. Let us join hands to deliver efficiently and cost-effectively quality facilities where the main business of the university, teaching and learning, can be carried out efficiently. We are expanding and launching new programs to make our university relevant to the times we live in and responsive to the needs of the community that host us. The teaching and learning program is expanding rapidly in areas such as agricultural science, education, engineering, and commerce. These facilities represent but a physical form of the intellectual wealth we provide our students and faculty each year. We are growing as an institution, both in numbers and in quality of our programs and the talent of our students and staff. We are looking forward to facilities that will enable this kind of work. In closing, allow me to quote our Lord Jesus, who in Luke 14 verse 2 said, I quote, "But don't begin until you count the cost, for who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it?" As we begin today, I appeal to you to watch the cost as agreed and maintain your good name by delivering on time and within the agreed cost structures so that this partnership can remain fruitful to all parties and keep the reputation of this building program impeccable and free of scandal of waste that we hear in other places. Finally, I would have loved to be with you today to witness this momentous occasion. Unfortunately, my tight schedule and prior arrangements have dictated otherwise. I plan to invite you soon to my office where we can engage freely under a more relaxed environment. For this day, Mr. Mwango and your team, I wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor. Indeed, words, strong motivational words from a very strong motivated person. The vision and goals for a better tomorrow. And what, if we don't have vision, people will perish. I mean, what more motivation do we need than that? And that just so ties up with the vision of this university, with the vision of Zululand, with the vision of Richards Bay, and where we want to go with our infrastructure development programs. What is interesting to know is that, the entire design, the purpose of these new build and refurbishment is to bring what would have been old, archaic buildings and old thoughts and change them and mold them into a new, modern, green environment. And that is what these new projects are going to be, encapsulating, and to ensure that the environment, the build quality, the quality of life, it is not just higher education. It'll have an impact on everything within the macro community itself. So I am very keen to know the nitty-gritty of the new build and refurbishment infrastructure, and how it impacts on our carbon footprint and the green developments that is intended within the project itself. So colleagues, allow me to introduce the next presenter, Mr. K. Mabise, who would be the do a master program presentation and provide us with insight, closer insight on the project and the developments itself. Mr. Mabise.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kane Baise from a company called Musebo Project. We're based in Pretoria. Without a vision, the people perish. I didn't know that the Vice Chancellor was a man of faith. I know Mr. Mngango is a man of faith. One of faith, yeah, but really, those are powerful words here. I think I just want to start with just talking about the stakeholders. We are at the university. So the university is our client, they are here, but there is another stakeholder that is also part of there's a couple of stakeholders. One are the people who are actually funding the programs that we are working on. Peter is here, so you'll know about that. And that is the Department of Higher Education and Training. So the projects that we are working on are funded by the Department of Higher Education and Training. And then the second one is then, of course, the university, which is our client. And thirdly, we have the professional services team, the professional service providers, which are the teams of architects, etc. And I'm just going to ask them to stand so that just people can just get a sense of who they are. So can I start with the architects? I'll start with Henry. Henry, you can just start up. So we've got Henry. Henry is from Primo Consulting Engineers. And then we've got Justin. Justin is from New Urban Engineers. We've got yes, Mika. Yeah, Mika from Creative Blueprint. We have the landscape also from Creative Blueprints, Anke. We have the civil engineers. Start with Mr. Abdul Satharia from Young and Satharia. We have El Ray, the two cost controllers. We've got El Ray, and then we've got Imran from Empower. So those are the two guys that you're going to be dealing with quite a lot. We have the geology engineers as well here, the geotech engineers, Bazi Dukan, right at the back there. We have the mechanical engineers, Patrick. I saw Patrick. Yeah, oh, there, Patrick, he's just walked in. Patrick. We've got the other architects, Bram. We have the project managers, Oxygen, Trevor. Yeah, most of you will know Trevor. We've got the electrical engineers, Ubaid. Ubaid, please stand. I have covered, okay. So I've covered the I've covered the project managers, I've covered the architects, 4 architects. I've covered the 2 the electrical engineer, we've got the mechanical engineers, the structural engineers, we've got Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy is a structural engineer. The other structural engineers, Map Africa, Byron. The other civil engineer, how can I forget my dear friend? Ashin. Yeah, Ashin Singh, yes. All right, so that's the team that is working with us. I haven't forgotten anybody else. Brian, the environmental engineer. Yes, the environmental consultant. Please, if there's anybody else that I'm leaving out, I thought Ndombi was going to be helping. There's no one else. There's no one else that I'm missing. We also have a town planner in the team who is working with us, Mr. Davis Mbofu. I don't see him today. All right. So that's the team, and then of course, then the other stakeholders then are the contractors who are going to be introduced by Mr. Ngobo later on. Right, so the funders, of course, they are very, very keen in making sure that the money that they are giving to the university is going to be well spent. So they've created documents which help the universities to deliver these projects. So there's a document, for instance, that is it's called the MIF. It's the macro infrastructure framework that is used to tell the university these are the things that you need to have when you are delivering these projects. And one of those items is the Spatial Development Framework, which Mr. Mngangu spoke about. And what that document does is it gives you a 15-year plan of what the university intends to do. So can I take off the mic? This, yeah, sure. Sorry, yeah, COVID. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so it gives you that. And the university has complied by having a Spatial Development Framework document. The other document that we're supposed to have is a 3 to 5 year management plan. So Musebo, working with the university, has assisted the university to create a 3 to 5 year plan which was signed by the Vice Chancellor. And the third document that is required is also a supply chain management policy of how to deliver these projects. Previously, the supply chain management policy only dealt with general stuff that is procured by the university. But then the DHEAD said, no, you need to have a specific section which deals with how these infrastructure programs are going to be delivered. Yeah, so Mr. Ngobo has got that document. So the university is compliant. Now, I'll just talk a little bit about the Spatial Development Framework. That document was prepared by a gentleman called Mr. Ludwig Hansen. You can Google him, from Ludwig Hansen Architects. I've spoken about, it's got a 10-year, it's got actually an implementation plan, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year. Of course, even though it's speaking to the future like that, things do change. So, for instance, with COVID now, and students being to learn online, do you need as many classrooms as you have put into your Spatial Development Framework? You know, students are working from home, etc. So those are the sort of things that need to be looked at in terms of the Spatial Development Framework. Now, out of that, we have then, in the 3 to 5 year plan, listed the priority projects that have to be done at the university. And those major projects are the engineering building. The Vice Chancellor spoke about the engineering program which started this year at the university. Currently, the university has sufficient spaces between this campus and the campus in KwaDlangezwa to accommodate the first-year students. Next year, Prof, you'll tell me, we will still have some space to accommodate the second-year students and the first-year students. But come 2023, we need additional space. So we need to have another building that is up here. So Trevor, you have to crack the whip to make sure that that building comes up. So that building, the first phase of that building, we're planning to have that up by the end of next year for the 2023 intake of students. So it's a very, very tight program. Bram and the team are working very, very hard to deliver those drawings, and I believe those drawings are due tomorrow. And then the rest of the professional teams have got to put in all the electrical and all of the other stuff into it, and so that that information can then be ready for the contractor who's going to be allocated this engineering building to start with the target cost and the activity schedule. Remember, this is an NEC, option C contract, so that's the route that we've got to go. So we need all hands on deck, so there's no time to play around, because it's a very, very tight program, like I say, between now. So that project, we are hoping that by the 1st of November, the contractor who's appointed will be here and making sure that that building is started. Then the second group of projects that we're working on is all based at KwaDlangezwa. That is that around the student accommodation. So we have a big refurbishment of one student accommodation that's taking about 220 students. We also have new accommodation that we want to put up, accommodating 414 students. Is that right? 442, yeah. So we've got 442, and we've got the refurbishment. They are all around one. So you'll hear it's referred to as package 2 in the documents. So package 2 being handled by Henry, together with the Creative Blueprint, who are doing the Madiba. They're all in one place. So those projects are going to be combined and be given to one contractor to handle. It's a fairly massive project, so that's also from a timing point of view. By the time the students come in 2023, we intend to have those buildings ready as well. So we also are under pressure to get those going. But at least with this particular project, the drawings have really are very, very far. Is that right, Ray? Henry? So those are very, very far. The costing has been done. It's, we are really, we're setting to have that project starting. We said 27th of September, but we are 1 week because we thought this meeting was going to happen last week. So we're just 1 week late. So first week of October, we plan to have that building starting. Also in KwaDlangezwa campus, we have the gatehouse. We're moving the current gatehouse where it is. We're going to be creating a new gatehouse, state of the art, to deal with COVID as people walk in, cameras to check their temperature and screening and all of the fancy stuff. With a level up at the top where the security guys are going to be moving in. And yeah, so that's also a priority project. But that project is not only dealing with just the building, it's also dealing with the fencing of the university. That university is a very, very porous university. You know, in fact, somebody said it's porous, and I said it's actually open to all. It's literally open to all. So it's a problem in terms of criminals. I don't know how many times we are replacing copper pipes, you know, door handles, and all sorts of things that are getting stolen in the university. So it's very, very important that we fence the university. So the big part of that project is to actually fence the university with something that is very, very strong. As Mr. Mngango says, that we want something that people are not going to be able to break easily, and we make sure that the university is covered properly. There will, of course, be access points along the fence, because there are people staying in the communities. For instance, there are children who stay across the university, who walk through the university to come out through the main gate. So there will be some allowance to make sure that there is interaction. One of the stakeholders I actually forgot to mention is the community around the campus. That is the KwaDlangezwa campus, KwaDlangezwa community. So we do need to make sure that the relationships between ourselves and them are taken care of. So we can't just shut them off, and then children have to walk 5 kilometers to walk around the campus to get to their school. All right, so I've dealt with the accommodation. Then the fourth project is the student center. Currently, the student center that we have was burned by the students, and it's now just cordoned off, and there's no student center at the university. So we need a student center. So Bram is dealing with the student center on the campus. I believe that project is at gate 5 already. So those drawings are also ready to be handed over to the contractor for them to start. All right, have I covered any other of the projects? I think that's right. Right, okay, no, then we do have bulk infrastructure projects that also have to be done. So there's an electrical upgrade that has to be done to accommodate all of the new buildings that we're planning to have in the future. Same with the water, stormwater, roads, etc. So there are all of those other projects, and yeah, we've done a lot of studies for those projects, so we know what needs to be done in the future. It's a matter of just getting them designed, and then they can move. But those are very, very quick. We are planning in the future to have a reservoir, for instance, on the campus. We still do be looking at where to place it. I know Anke doesn't like the position that I have chosen, but we are going to be issuing a task order to have somebody actually do an investigation to see where we can position that, or alternatively to relocate the tennis courts at the university. All right, I think I've covered pretty much the projects, and I think one key thing that I just want to say is that the NEC contract is really developed around collaboration. So we really need to collaborate. And I mean, like I said, we need all hands on deck. The client needs to collaborate, making sure that the task orders are sorted out, the package orders are sorted out to be handed over to working in our team. So we really need to collaborate to make sure that this thing goes forward. So even if you will see, as you guys join in, that there is collaboration even amongst the professional teams. The architects have set up their own platforms where they actually share ideas to make sure that there's commonality in terms of what is delivered to the university. So you will see something called a common spec, for instance, a document that has been produced to say what types of taps are going to be used, what types of light fittings are going to be used, so that you don't go to one building, there's a different type of fitting, you go to another different locks and various things. Even the the face brick that is going to be used, there's a standard that is going to be used for all of those. The course controllers have been assisting the university to apply to DHET for the IEG6 cycle. And collaboration that we've had between Elray and Imran has been really, really, really very, very good. I think the past 3 weekends, you guys haven't had a weekend. Yeah, but really very, very, very committed team of people. So I just wanted really to make sure that we just keep that up. As I close, I almost forgot, we also have, related to community, we have a team, Bukang, Paul, please stand, and Aviwe. Yeah. So these are the guys who are going to be assisting with the liaison with the community. So they've done a study of subcontractors in the area from Shatuze, and so they have a lot of information that they have that can assist with you guys meeting the 30% that you are obligated to meet in your contract. I think I'll stop there. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mabise. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, I'm sure that it's quite a lot to take and to have an idea and a vision of what this new build and infrastructure development is like. I myself, I'm still grasping with all the nitty-gritty and the details and the technicalities. And I'm very curious to see what the actual vision looks like. And I think that is what will tie up this event and give us a better understanding and perhaps motivate us more, as the words of the Vice Chancellor was, that let's be wary of our costs, let's be wary of our deliverables, our deadlines over the weekends. We appreciate that, you know, and I think that what brings a fundamental element of camaraderie amongst all of us, because we are all key stakeholders. So allow me then to introduce the next event, which is a vision and a visual of what the entire project is envisioned to be. And it perhaps puts a greater perspective on all the detail that we have that has been unpacked before us today. So let us take a few minutes just to look at that vision and that visuals that has been put together for us.
The University of Zululand KwaDlangezwa campus is in need of a safe, dignified, and respectable campus environment to achieve the holistic campus vision. The current site conditions of all the external spaces on the university grounds are unsafe, neglected, and exhausted. Creative Blueprint architects are tasked with the design of Phase 1 of the new entrance precinct, which is the main entrance and outreach point of KwaDlangezwa campus. The main entrance precinct is the first impression that visitors will have of the University of Zululand and will be the last image they remember as they leave. Therefore, it is a high priority area and should be a welcome, respectful, dignified, and visually aesthetic environment. Functions of the entrance precinct Phase 1 includes the main gatehouse, the refurbishment of the existing post office building, a space for organised community trade, the service gatehouse, the main public square, and a portion of the university perimeter fence. The main gatehouse is a functional, formal entrance, which houses pedestrian turnstile lobbies that are access controlled with thermal imaging cameras. 2 security officers on ground, pandemic-friendly spaces, public ablutions and sufficient traffic lanes for ease of access during high traffic hours and events all form part of the accommodation. The first floor houses campus security functions, meeting rooms, control rooms, offices and security facilities. The fundamental feature of the new entrance precinct building is a multifunctional drop-down gate which doubles as sun protection and reliable security. The main entrance square is a pedestrian-centric environment where vehicular and pedestrian needs are catered for in a legible and distinguished manner. Students, staff and public are encouraged to gather, pause and integrate in this shared space. This development generates many possibilities of public and private partnerships between the University of Zululand and the surrounding community, as proposed in Phase 1. Future commercial facilities, a new organised taxi terminal, legal support facilities, a satellite police station and community trading are all connected with a shared public square where the integration of the local economy and the university is achieved. Creative Blueprint architects are also tasked with the refurbishment of Madiba, New York and Umchali residences, which form part of the original stack of student residences built during the inception years when UniZulu was founded. These residences are non-compliant in terms of the minimum standards as set out in DHET, SANS 10400, health and safety requirements, as well as the new Spatial Development Framework. Madiba is a load-bearing 4-story building without an elevator and has never been refurbished other than routine maintenance during the past years. The refurbished ground floor opens onto one of the 2 new student squares, which is a safe shared outdoor space, as well as an equally safe and semi-private internal courtyard, only accessible by the residents' population. Access-controlled, intimate family clusters achieve a more compliant, flexible, and efficient resident space. Our objective is to achieve a dignified student residence where students are safe, productive, peaceful, and comfortable. With a total bed count of 192 and an efficiency of 62%. All of which can be achieved for New York and Umchali residents. Shuttle space can be accommodated on the upper levels of both New York and Umchali residents in lightweight timber construction, a method that has been proven to be very appropriate at other South African universities.
Wow. Isn't that fantastic? I have to confess, looking at that building, particularly the student center, it was so impressive. It actually makes me want to get into a time machine and just go forward and just try and enjoy that facility now. But personally, it actually gives me goosebumps to think that this is a legacy that will be here for generations to come, and that we are going to be part of it. And that just is just so awe-inspiring. And I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to take that with you because you own this process. Each and every one of us sitting here has a crucial role to play in that vision that we are just seeing together. So, I can't applaud us more than to say, gung-ho, let's just get on with it and burn the midnight oil and see that we see this vision as we envisioned it. None more so are crucial and critical role players than those contractors that are going to be involved in the nuts and bolts, the hands-on hard work and labor to see that that vision is realized. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our Director of our Supply Chain Management section department within the university, Mr. Ngobo, to unpack and lay out for us on a high level who the key role players are that will be involved in these projects. Mr. Ngobo.
Greetings to everybody. I think there is a presentation that's supposed to be up here. But maybe before they put up a presentation, I just want to sort of give you a very high-level summary. Where did we start and how this process has been unfolding since, I think, August 2020 up until this point, where I think the role right now for, when you deal with the public sector procurement, it's a very sensitive and a very confidential process, but for the sake of transparency, I just wanted to show people how and why it has taken so long to get us almost a year before we appoint, let's say, the principal contractors and then the management contractors. So I'm not sure what is holding up with the presentation. Maybe I can just talk through it then. I don't think I'm going to have to wait now. This process started last year as an expression of interest. So we went out to the market. Firstly, it was a first batch of looking for main contractors who can help us to construct new buildings. And then the second batch was actually asking for management contractors for all refurbishments that we're going to be conducting. I think you have seen now the whole set of packages that we're going to be dealing with. So we went through that process. Obviously, if you deal with the expression of interest, it's a no quantum process. So you're asking for people to show you their capacity and capability. Once that is in, You will then evaluate that process, obviously surfing down until you get to a level where you have what you believe fits your portfolio or fits your requirement that you hope it's going to deliver on your requirement. And then subsequent to that, we then had, meaning have to issue now a tender document for each of them so that they give you a quantum. We give you a bill of quantities, you will then give us a quantum, give us how much you think you can construct this building based on a bill of quantity that you've been given. So when we receive also those submissions, we then have to go through an internal evaluation process. Obviously, we've got a lot of governance structures within the university that are covered under a supply chain policy that one of the colleagues has spoken about. So it's been a long process, back and forth, obviously submitting various documentation, getting evaluations, getting approved on certain internal committee structures. And then eventually we came up with the names where, after careful and going through a lot of technical assessment, we were then satisfied that these entities are the entities that can deliver based on our requirements, which we now introducing to our technical team or our designers and architects. So, as Mr. Mungang was outlining, the whole idea now is to know who are the technical teams, and then what is a batch or a pack of contractors. Then going forward, obviously, it's a process of now understanding which contractor deals with which package, and then which team, that technical team that is going to be dealing or has been working on that package. Then the process will then unfold going forward. But I think instead of, because I've got them here, this has got no order. I'm just going to announce them and just say, in terms of representatives, they can just stand up. For refurbishment, there is a company called Sibani Group Pty Ltd. It's represented by Kumbulani Lembede and Tabang Mulife. Could they please stand up so that people can know them? Okay, thank you. So these are basically management contractors. That's basic company number one. And then number two, we've got a company called Greenacre LTA Pty Ltd. Greenacre is basically, because we had two separate processes, Greenacre, they put a bid for new builds, and then they also put a bid for management contractors. So on all occasions, they will come basically, you will see them appearing on both bid processes. So Greenacre is being represented by Mr. Shazi and Nelson Rodriguez. Could you please stand up, guys? So once then the packages are allocated, then you know which team you're going to be dealing with. And then the third company is Linati Mangete Group. It's a joint venture. It's led by Lunga Ngumalo. And then the second guest is Sihle Zwane. Okay, thank you. That's also a management contractor. And then the fourth company, it's Dangalaza Construction JV with Reclaim Africa. This entity is led by Tembam Timkulu and Mohamed Sheikh. Thank you. And that's also a management contractor. And then the fifth one, it's Sinopa Construction and Projects. This entity is led by Tamim Sibi and Mario Buches. Thank you. Okay, the last one, which is, as I said, Greenacre appears on both, but we have two entities for new builds, and then we've got 5 entities which are regarded as management contractors. So, Demi Construction Pty Ltd is represented by Leanne August and then Mandla Mkabela. That's Leanne. Okay, so these are the entities. So unfortunately, I couldn't show all the processes that I wanted, just to have an idea. So the process going forward, because I'm almost now handing over the entities to the project management or program management team. It does not end my role here. So going forward is more like managing the contract, managing relationships, but there is an element that we're still busy working on, the subcontractors. There is a database that we're going to be opening for a second time, starting on Monday until the 10th of September, just to make sure that, because the process started last year, but I think it wasn't quite clear from the community how to fill in a document, how to navigate, because in one case you need to use a WhatsApp to fill in your information, or you have to go to a web browser and fill in information. So some people came back and complained that they actually were not explained how this process works. So we're opening this process again. From Monday until the 10th, we will gather the final database. There's a team called from Pokang that was introduced earlier on. So they have this database. Once this database has been concluded, we will then obviously start a process of matching the contractors, meaning the main contractors, and the subcontractors, and then the process will then start. I should then just browse through this and just conclude. What I wanted to show you is, these are timelines basically, where we started doing this process. We advertised it was 2nd of August 2020. So we spent the whole of August and basically putting this in the market. There were a lot of delays, people asking for postponement, more time, clarification. Because this is based on an NEC procurement strategy, there were some issues in terms of understanding how this process works. It basically was quite complex in some entities. In some established entities, it was easy. It's a process that they are used into. But some of the entities, they felt it was very difficult. They need to understand, start it further, and then before they respond, they are clear. So that's why we had a lot of clarification meetings in between this process before any submissions, because it was basically back and forth until because we wanted to be fair. I mean, we've got companies here which are very, I would say, small companies who have never been involved in a lot of complex built environment. So they really they were interested to understand the process so that they can participate, and it became fair for everybody. So that's a platform where the adverts were placed. So you can go to a second slide. I think I've discussed that. So if you look at the construction companies for new builds, the amount of responses were quite huge. They were quite huge. So you could see we had a lot of 56 various submissions. We then scanned through all of them. Eventually, because of the requirement, we ended up with the top 7. Well, on the top 7, basically, if you pass 65 points and above, you will then go through. But we had 9 entities who were about 65 points and above. So from that, you need to take your top 7, and then you take the process further, meaning you need to now give them a tender document. They will then give you a quantum based on your BOQ. So from that process, there was a third phase where the top 7 will then have to, once they've given you a tender document, you evaluate them. Out of that, you have to sort of like do a small negotiations to see whether they can better their offers. So we move with 2 entities, which was the 2 highest ranking entities, for the best and final offer. So the process, based on that, it was then concluded that these are the 2 entities that we're moving forward with. So on the 05, if you can go to a second slide. Shucks. Okay, out of this process, because the grading was a little bit lower than the previous ones, so the response was huge. So it was 84 submissions that we received. We scanned through all of them. We left with 66. From 66, 41. We went through that process until, because in the end, we had to recruit top 5. So that's how we ended up with top 5. So these names that are here, It's not like, they've gone through a lot of various stages in the procurement processes. So until we have really a final list where we're fully confident that this is a list that can deliver our program. So all what I'm saying is I've got a full confidence in the entities that eventually emerge out of this process because they have proven themselves. They actually, some of the companies giving up along the process because they felt it's too long and it sounded like it's too cumbersome. So that's why I'm saying I'm very confident seeing what I've seen in terms of the presentations and looking at the caliber of entities, I'm pretty happy that if we look at the target states that we have, I'm sure you will deliver this without, I think most of you work with a lot of complex projects. So if we look at next year or year after, some of this building will be basically Alp and handed over. So that's why I'm saying I really, really, really appreciate you, your patience, your effort. You really shown that you need to participate, but also you've shown the interest. And there was a lot of guidance in between, so there was a lot of sharing information. So I think if you hand over now, it's more around really getting your hands on deck in terms of the finer details of each and every package, then we move forward. Because I don't think everyone is really, really waiting to see at least one building up. Because as far as I know, this process has been up and back since 2010. So it's really great to have you here. So I really appreciate you. Thank you, Program Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngombo, for that enlightening presentation. And now we all can appreciate the hard work that was put in the background to this entire process. And I'd like to just echo his sentiments that we appreciate your involvement in this. It was a long road just to get here, but now an even longer road to see to the project to its finality. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the culmination of the formalities. Allow me to introduce then our Executive Director of Finance, the key man with the most important pen in his hand to sign off on those invoices. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Mr. Peter du Plessis, who will render a vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Program Director and Vice Chancellor and Executive Director Infrastructure, other colleagues and all the construction partners also present. I think we're all very delighted to be here today and be part of this, this onboarding of the construction partners, but also the launch of this whole program. And it sounds like I was very interested and happy when I heard the Vice Chancellor speak about the cost being counted. It sounds like the cost has been counted, and yeah, I really want to also just, in that sense, just wish all the best to everyone involved and say, like everyone has said, please do your best and stay within your budgets and your times and your quality requirements and everything. I think also need to thank the Vice Chancellor and the Council, with Council support, Executive Director Infrastructure and everyone that was involved so far and will be involved from here. Just thank you very much for all the hard work that has gone into this. I would want to say into this event, but it's more than just this event. It's the whole leading and managing and planning that's led up to this point and going forward. So thank you for all the hard work that went into this process. And then, yeah, just really, really appreciate everyone's attendance and want to appreciate your what you bring to the table, as we've seen in all the presentations. And we invite all of you to have lunch with us, as it was also the same place as tea was served, and enjoy the rest of the day with us further. Thank you very much.